Hello everybody, this is Mr. Storm and welcome to Desktop Publishing 1. This video is going to be focused on teaching you how to use Microsoft Publisher. It's a great application. It's a lot better than Google Drawings, which we used in the last assignment. And this application is going to be what we use to build most of the things we're going to do. Actually, I think everything we do for the rest of the term, and we'll use it a little bit in the next term as well. So first thing you want to see is when you first open up Microsoft Publisher, you'll see the Backstage view. Now the Backstage view is common for all Microsoft Office applications. Microsoft Publisher is an Office application just like Word or Excel or PowerPoint, things like that. So it's going to have the same feel as the other applications, and this is one of those common areas. This is the Backstage view. And from here we can open new documents. We can start a blank document that's 8.5 by 11. We can start a blank document that's 11 by 8.5, basically landscape orientation, and this is portrait orientation. We can also create a new page with a custom page size, which we're going to do in just a second. Now down here, these look pretty tempting. These are templates that we can use to build new documents with a lot of the work already done for us. Now, in this class, the entire focus of this class is to teach you how to build your own documents and not use someone else's design, right? There's already design choices made in these templates. For example, the typography here with the "We love baby" and the love being red. That's a typography choice that a designer has made. We don't want to copy someone else's choices. We want to do our own designing. So we're always going to start with blank documents. So let's say you don't want to build an 8.5 by 11. You want to build something new. So I'm going to go to more blank page sizes. And I have a ton of options here. I can choose, a 8.693 by 16.535, an A3 size. I can do posters. I have, there's business card template. For the last assignment we did, you could actually build it in Publisher, and there's a template for the business card, or at least a custom size that I made, 3.5 by 2. Novel typesetting, which we'll do in Desktop Publishing 2. You will build some novels. And there's all kinds of stuff down here. There are manufacturers. So, for example, professional custom printing manufacturers have specific sizes that their printers will handle. So if I'm using a FormTech printer, there's certain page sizes that work perfectly with a FormTech printer, and I accidentally opened a new document. Let's go back. So these are some choices that are available to you. If you can't find the one that you're looking for, you can always create a new page size, name it whatever you want, and dictate how, what the layout is going to be. Is it a booklet, envelope, a web page? You can set your page size, and these are by inches. And then you can change your margins as well here. I'm just going to go with a landscape document here. Okay, so now I have a blank document. A couple things you want to look at right away is, first of all, we have a ribbon. Just like all the other Microsoft Office applications, there's a ribbon, and the ribbon works in a very intuitive way. Essentially, you have tabs up here at the top, and those tabs refer to different groupings of options that you'll be able to find within that tab. For example, in Home, you have the clipboard, you have your font, paragraph, your text styles, drawing text boxes, and pictures. And these are common options you're going to use the most often. If we go to Insert, then we have all these options related to inserting new things into our publication. Page Design allows you to set up the page properly. Mailings we're not going to really look at because that's focused more on putting together an email list or a document for email on a mass distribution. Review, we'll do a little bit of review, but not much, mainly spell checking. That's just something you're going to want to get in the habit of whenever you're doing digital design or creating digital works. View allows you to customize what you're seeing on your screen. not necessarily what your customer is going to see when you're finished with the document, but what you see, such as rulers and things like that. And then help, you don't need that because that's why you have me. So let's go back to the home and let's actually start adding some stuff. Because Microsoft Publisher is because it's mainly an image-based application, let's go ahead and start adding some images into this application. I'm going to go to Insert, and I have a couple of options. I have Pictures and Online Pictures. Pictures is for me to add, pictures for my desktop. If I have a picture that I just got done compositing and making it look really nice, I can add a picture to my publication from my computer. I also have Online Pictures, which when I click that, it allows me to do a Bing search, which Bing, whatever. I can do a Bing search for whatever I'm looking for. So let's say, cool car, and I'm going to actually, I'm going to type a keyword here, which you might enjoy using from now on. I just typed transparent after my search, and what that did is it hopefully will pull up images that have no background applied to them. Meaning when I drop them in here, I can put them on a colored background, and it's actually going to not show the white box around my image. So I like this guy, and it's got a pretty good resolution, 800 by 510. That should be good enough. I'm going to click Insert. Now I can't tell if it has a background because I have nothing behind it yet. So I'm going to go ahead to Page Design, and I'm going to apply a background, a dark gray background. And now you can see there is no white box around the image, right? Just because I look for transparent images. Now later on in the class, next term, I'm going to teach you how to composite backgrounds out of images or composite objects out of an image so that you don't have the background, but we're not going to do that just yet. All right, so I have this cool, car, Ferrari or whatever it is, Lamborghini, I guess, on this dark gray background. I'm actually going to make the background a little darker. I don't want to go all the way black because I like the cool shadow underneath, but I'm going to keep it roughly about there. Now, I want to add some text on top of this. So all I have to do is go back to Insert, and I can draw a text box. So I'm going to drag out where I want my text to be. And then I can type whatever I want to type. Cool guy parking, losers not admitted. And I can't even see what I'm typing, so I'm probably misspelling everything because my text is so incredibly small. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that very quickly. Oh yeah, I totally screwed everything up. Let's go 22, cool Gary parking, losers not admitted, and admitted needs 2 T's. All right, so there's my text. It doesn't look really cool. It's just kind of right there. It's not really doing anything. It looks kind of gross. And so I'm going to change the font. I'm going to pick a really nice, cool looking font for this project. Something that looks sleek, looks modern. I'll try Forte. No, that's a little bit goofy. Let's try... That's cool. Now this is one of my custom fonts that I use quite often. I like it a lot. You will not have access to this font. You will only be allowed to use the fonts that Microsoft Publisher comes with. So sorry about that. In order to install new fonts, I'd have to come over to your computer and install it. So if you do find a font that you really absolutely positively have to have, I'll come over and I'll install it for you. That's no big deal. But for the most part, you're going to be using the fonts that they give you. Okay, so I have this black text against this dark gray background. I've chosen my font, I've changed the size. Now, there are some other things I can do. For example, let's look at text fit. So I can set it for best fit so that the text fits best within my text box, which is a good idea. I can shrink the text if I start typing and all of my text goes outside of the text box. I can start shrinking the font in order for it to fit within the text box, which is a really handy tool. I'm going to go back. Delete, 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 delete. Okay. I can also grow the text box to fit my text. So as I'm typing, it'll make the text box grow with the text I'm typing. I'm just going to use text best fit. I can also change the text direction, so I can change it to be vertical as opposed to horizontal. I'm going to keep it horizontal. I can set hyphenation rules, so I can hyphenate my paragraphs and stuff in specific ways. That's not really going to apply here, so I'm going to leave that alone. Let's see. We have basic font options here. I can bold my text. I can change the spacing between the letters, the character spacing. This is something that's really important. We're going to talk about kerning when we get into typography, and this is something we're really going to want to pay attention to. If I have a font that has really bad kerning, meaning the space between the letters, I might want to adjust that. And it's nice because that looks gross. Microsoft Publisher allows for us to adjust the spacing between the letters. Now, we can also do it individually. So let's say I have, a couple that looked a little bit weird, and there's a couple spaces that just don't quite look right. I can change the spacing individually between two different characters, which is pretty great. All right, I can change the color of the text, which is something I'm going to want to do. I like this nice red. Now, here's what I can do. Instead of just trying to match the red, I can also grab this eyedropper tool and click, and it will, oh gosh, that's gross. Never mind, don't do that. Red on dark gray just does not look good. I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. That's a little better. That's a little better. But, this is a cool guy poster. We don't want red on a cool guy poster. Maybe let's find some better colors. So if we click more colors, we have some options. We can use the standard RGB selector. We can also go into here to choose web colors. We can also go into Pantone and choose specific Pantone colors. Now what Pantone is essentially when you're creating documents for a publication, you're going to have a specific color manufacturer that works with that specific printer, and it's going to have, you'll have a big book, a heavy book that is full of all the manufacturers and which Pantone number those colors correspond with. So you'll be able to look at the color in the book and go, yeah, that's the color I want, because your screen isn't going to show this color exactly the way it's supposed to look whenever it's printed, because your screen can be, maybe it's not calibrated correctly or whatever. So when you get into professional work, Pantone color schemes is something you're going to be using a lot. But for right now, I can just choose a nice dark red color here, something like that. We'll do that, and that looks a little better, but we're going to make some changes to it, make it look a little bit nicer. All right, one thing I also want to do is the space between the characters, or between the lines, the leading, is a little bit big. So I'm going to go in here and change my characters or my line spacing, and even then I still want to do a little bit more. So what I can do is I can go to my line spacing options, and I can go into here. After paragraphs, we'll actually make it 0, and between lines, we can shrink that even a little bit more, and that's too much. That's just gross. So I'm going to go back, add some more spacing. Maybe just a little bit. Okay, that's a little better. Maybe I want to make this a little bit smaller of a font. Oh, I've got to turn off. See, sometimes whenever you're using automatic, let's go back. When you're using the best fit, sometimes it'll mess up if you want to make different font sizes. Hello. I turned off best fit. Oh, do not auto fit. That's what I'm looking for. All right, and we'll shrink this down a little bit here. Okay. And maybe I'll change this to a cool white just to separate them a little bit. And actually, maybe I'm going to I did it all white. That's not what I wanted. Control Z. There we go. Maybe instead of a stark white, I'll make it a kind of an off-white. Just a little bit. All right, now I'm getting picky. Okay. So now I have my text. It looks really good. I want to center it in the text box. Now I can center a line. I can align it with the top of the text box and center it. I can align it with the center of the text box and center it. The bottom, I can do all kinds of stuff. I can align it in the bottom right corner, whatever I want to do. I'll just keep it top or middle. Let's see, cool guy parking, losers not admitted. Sweet. And let's see, what else? I'm getting carried away making something cool, and I'm not really showing you guys all the stuff we can do. So let's do one more cool thing, and then I will show you some more things, because now I'm kind of invested in this. I'm going to print this off and put it in my son's bedroom, and he's going to be like, Dad, that's stupid. I don't like that. All right, I'm going to add one more picture. So let's go to Insert, and we'll go Online Pictures. And Lamborghini. Is that a Lamborghini? Guinea. That's not how you spell Lamborghini, but whatever. Transparent. And as definitely, let's see. You can hit Control. That's a Ferrari. Yep. So you can hit Control and then scroll the mouse wheel to zoom in and out on your document. All right, so I will do Ferrari. And I'll do logo. Okay, so that one's huge. So we'll go with that. And okay, so now I have my Ferrari logo. Now notice that it's really big and it's kind of pushing all my text out of the way and it's kind of getting in the way of everything. First of all, I want to scale this down. Now here's some things you need to understand about scaling, right? If I grab the corner and I scale, it will keep my native resolution and it will allow me to scale it really, really well. And so it won't get, kind of messed up. If I take the top and I drag it down, it'll let me squish. It'll squish it all up. And I don't want to squish. I want to keep the aspect ratio of this image. So I'm going to scale it down just like this. I don't want to cover up the nice looking car, but I want some kind of branding on here. I can also rotate it by grabbing this little whip tool and flipping it around wherever I want. Cool. You know what? Yeah. Nope. So now notice I'm getting closer to the text and it's kind of pushing the text out of the way. And that's not really what I want. What I want is I want this text and this image to kind of ignore each other. So what I can do is change the text wrapping settings, the text wrap settings on this image. So if I go to this image and I go to Picture Tools and I go to Wrap Text, I can change it so that it will go through. No, it's still not working. Let's go None. There we go. So None, meaning the text is not going to have any relationship with this logo whatsoever. I can put it wherever I want and the text will not touch it at all. Okay. All right. Now notice I have my Lamborghini or my Ferrari badge on top of the car. Let's say I wanted that to go behind the car. I wanted it underneath. Well, what I could do is I can go up here to my picture tools with my picture selected, and I can either bring it forward or send it backward. Now, forward is going to bring it closer to you, closer to the front of the screen. Backward is going to send it back farther in the document. So if I send this backward, I can put it behind the other object, right? Which is pretty cool. Now, the problem is if I send it backward too much, now it's impossible for me to select it because it's below everything else. So what I can do is I can move stuff out of the way, grab this guy, put him off to the side, and, you know, kind of worry about him later. All right. I'm actually going to bring this to the front, meaning it'll be on top of everything again, so I don't have to worry about not selecting it right. Okay, so what else can we do? Well, we can take this guy and we can recolor it. We can make color corrections to it. If it's maybe overexposed or it's too dark, we can make corrections. We can recolor so that it's, looks cool, I guess. You know, whatever you want to do, make it black and white. I can compress the picture, which will make the file size a little bit smaller. So if I bring in a bunch of big pictures and I shrink them down, even though they're shrunk down, all that pixel data is still there. And so my file size is going to get really huge. I can compress my pictures once I get them exactly where I want them to be. So it'll get rid of all that unneeded pixel data and it'll make my file size much smaller. You won't really have to worry about that much. I can change the picture here. I can just click change picture, find a new picture, and it'll completely change it. I can also add borders around my stuff. You know, it's not going to look really good because this is, you know, it doesn't have an outside edge really. But I can apply effects. I can add a shadow to it. I can add like a top shadow. I can add, oh, not border. I can add shadow, like a deep shadow down below, like a perspective shadow. So it looks like it's, you know, there's a reflection. I can also add a glow. Glows are really cool. Add a glow underneath of it so it has this outer glow. That's fun. What else? So these are all options you can play around with. You know, definitely spend some time messing around with the picture options in Microsoft Publisher. All right, what else? You know, all this stuff is really self-explanatory. It's really easy to figure out. And really the best way to get good at it is just to keep playing around with it. And I'm going to give you a lot of options or a lot of opportunities to play with this and try your hand at making something that looks really cool. For now, I'm going to cut this short though, because I don't want to take up too much of your time. And I want to allow you time to practice and play around. So what I'm going to do is at this point, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to save your documents. And I want you to really pay attention to this next point, because this is a mistake that inevitably happens every single time I teach this class. So really pay attention. There are two different file types that you can save your projects under. For example, you can save your projects as a Microsoft Publisher document, a .pub file. I'll just put it on my desktop, right? As a PUB file, right? Now, what a PUB file does is it allows you to then reopen that file in Microsoft Publisher with all of your data still intact, meaning I can go back and manipulate individual elements of the publication. That's great. If you're not done with your work, you definitely want to save your PUB file so you can continue working on it later. You always want to save your PUB files somewhere so that you have a master copy of what you've done. So if you look at it later and you go, maybe I should have made that a different color, you can go back and change it and you won't have to rebuild the whole document. Your publication files are hugely important. However, I do not want your publication files. Do not send me your PUB files. I've locked it out in Canvas so you cannot turn them in, but don't email them to me. I don't want to see them. I'm not grading your PUB files because to me that's an unfinished document and I do not want to grade anything unfinished. What I want is I want your PDF files, your Adobe PDF files. And the way you create a PDF file is when your file is ready to be completed, you're ready to lock it off, you want to go to Export and create PDF document. So I'm going to click that. And it's going to ask me if I want to save it as a PDF. Now I want to name it, obviously, coolguy.pdf. and I'm going to put it on my desktop. And there are a lot of options that we can go into. Obviously, none of this is going to make really any sense to you right now, and that's totally okay. We'll get into that later. But I'm going to click Publish. And now when it's done, it's going to pull up a PDF of that document hello. Come on. It's going to pull up a PDF of that document I just made. Cool guy parking, right? And I could actually print this off at this point and hang it up in my room, and I just made a cool poster, and my wife would get mad at me because she doesn't want dorky car posters hanging up in our bedroom. But very quickly, we've learned how to use Publisher. We put together something that looks kind of cool. And again, all this really takes is just practicing with this application. Do every stupid thing you can imagine. If you really like the way something looks, you're flipping through a magazine and you see a magazine advertisement that looks really great, go to Publisher and try to recreate it, copy it. See if you can make it look as close to that as you possibly can. The big thing you need to be doing is practicing with Microsoft Publisher. You need to be doing that. So when you're in class, you have a little bit of free time, you need to be practicing Publisher. All right, that's it for me. I'm going to go ahead and cut this, well, I was going to say short, but it's definitely not short. But I'm going to cut it here. I'm going to let you get to practicing. I'm going to let you play around with Publisher, and then let you start working on the rest of the work you need to do for this week. That's it for me. Thank you for paying attention, and I'll see you next week.